maybe we'll give the floor to our young Toastmaster Chamira, Sergeant at Arms at Sri Lanka Club, to start the meeting. Go ahead, sir. Honor and privilege. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My dear fellow Toastmasters and most welcome guests. My name is Chamira, and today I am your virtual Sergeant at Arms. Welcome to Sri Lankan Club Symposium and Bahrain Advanced Toastmasters Club. I hope you know where is the nearest exit is, and I hope you know where is the washrooms are. Please ensure all your mobile devices are in silent mode. And let's remind ourselves the Toastmasters international core values, which are integrity, respect, service, and excellence. The mission of the Toastmasters Club is to provide supportive and positive learning experience in which every individual members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. So now please sit back and relax, enjoy, and have fun at our virtual joint meeting. Now to take over the meeting and to conduct the business session, please put your hands together and welcome our President, Toastmasters Mohammed Moeen. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sergeant at Arms. Our keynote speaker, distinguished Toastmaster, Mr. Dilip. Fellow DTM Toastmasters, distinguished Toastmasters, fellow Toastmasters, my executive committee members, guests, very warm good evening to you all.
Evening.
In this summer evening, we are sweating, but inside the house, we are okay. Thank you very much for DTM Faraz Farooq for organizing with our keynote speaker. And let me call for the treasurer. Do we have, the secretary? Do we have the quorum? Secretary, Toastmaster Sampath.
You're mute.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. President. That we have altogether 21%.
Okay. So that's fine, and let's move.
I think we can go ahead now.
Okay, thank you very much. I would like to mention today, we all have to have dedication in whatever we do. It can be Toastmaster, it can be Toastmaster Executive Committee position, or whatever you do in your life, we have to have dedication in order to achieve our goal or objective smoothly. Having said that, we have seen in Toastmaster ladder of executive committee, we used to appoint people, Toastmasters, taking up positions. Now, do they perform their duties and responsibilities with the dedication? Why the dedication is, by that you learn and earn your position. End of the day, once you reach to the top, you are fully equipped with all necessary requirements, rules and regulations of Toastmaster International. Let me share a small example of what I experienced. In 2015, I became the president of Sri Lanka Social Club in Bahrain. We were 12 executive committee members. As I said, we all has to have dedication, which not happened. Only 4 members, including me, we strived, we dedicated ourselves, and we achieved our goal. The club was in deficit, we made it to surplus. These 4 members, we shouldered heaviness and we walked throughout the year, and we made our goal successful. If all the 12 members dedicated and contributed, what would have been the answer? We would have achieved much more very easily. This is why I say, even in Toastmasters, we need to dedicate ourselves. I could see a lot of heads here. I can name, but everybody's name I have to say. All of you are dedicated, and I can see your progress and performance, and you are reaching the top. The beginners, whoever coming in and whoever not in the executive committee, my humble advice, take dedication and surely you will learn and earn your positions. Don't forget, dedication is a key for us to achieve our goal. So let me say a quote from Martin Luther King Jr. If you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished Toastmasters, friends, guests, my message is, with dedication, please continue renewing your membership and walk along with us in this Toastmaster journey to achieve yours and the club goals. That's all from my side. Thank you very much for listening, and let me call upon Bahrain Advanced Toastmaster Club President, distinguished Toastmaster Faraz Farooq, to deliver his address. Thank you.
Thank you very much, President Munir. Please let us give Toastmaster Munir a big round of applause for starting this meeting off. Thank you so much, sir. I call meeting number 609 of Bahrain Advanced Toastmasters to order. Ladies and gentlemen, Toastmasters, and especially our honored guest, past International President Dilip Abesekara. I also like to recognize the presence of International Director DTM Ali Shahbaz, the Program Quality Director of District 20 DTM Khalid Abdullah, and all the other honored guests present here today. Ladies and gentlemen, indeed a great privilege for me to address this joint meeting of Bahrain Advanced Toastmasters, in which I'm a president, the president, and Sri Lanka Club Symposium, in which I'm also a member, but the very first club I joined, and a membership that I will cherish till my last day. And as much as possible, I will definitely keep continuing, even though I have moved from Bahrain to Sri Lanka now. So indeed, a great honor and pleasure to be at this meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, when I was a kid, I remember reading a story. It was entitled The Three Princes of Serendip. And I didn't know what Serendip was. And apparently this was a book written in 1557, long before any Europeans had stepped into Serendip with a bad intention. We had friends and guests walking by, they like our beaches, but they didn't come to stay. And when I was reading this story, my father, he told me, son, do you know where Serendip is? And I hadn't still figured out where Serendip was. And he told me, let me tell you, Serendip is our country, Sri Lanka. I said, what? It wasn't Sri Lanka back then? He said, no. Our country had a rich history. And over the ages, lots of people visited it. And everybody who visited liked it. Some of us stayed. And each of us gave it its an own name. And Serendip was the name given to the country, to the nation, by the Arabs and the Persians. But then the Greeks called it Taprobane. And then the Arabs went and decided, no, it's not good enough. We'll rename it Ceylon, which they still refer to it as. And then, of course, Ceylon became Ceylao and what have you with the Portuguese. And then we became Ceylon. And then we decided, you know what? We don't want any of those. We're going to call ourselves Sri Lanka. Now, all of this history was interesting to me as a kid. And it showed when there are different things to talk about, things to read about, it simply shows how rich this history is. And in the same light, the meeting today is to celebrate one such prince of Serendip who's going to come and tell us a Toastmasters journey, a journey of serendipity. And I really look forward to listening to it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there are lots of princes and princesses of Serendip over here. And also there are lots of people who are responsible for calling our nation Serendip over here. Some of them are dressed like Arabs as well, like our DTM Khalid. And this is such a beautiful gathering. There's people seated in Bahrain. I'm seated here in Sri Lanka. Our timer, Naomi, is in Sri Lanka. Our secretary, Toastmaster Sampath, is in Sri Lanka. Toastmaster Omar is in Saudi Arabia. And of course, our honored guest, Dilip Abhisekara, is speaking to us all the way from New York. This beautiful gathering would not have been possible if not for the vision of a great man. And I would be failing in my duty if we don't pay tribute to him. Founder, Dr. Ralph C. Smedley. It was this man's vision that has brought all of us together, and for me to brag about me reading Princes of Serendip when I was a kid. So ladies and gentlemen, once again, let me welcome all of you to this great meeting. And let me now invite all of you to enjoy the meeting. And with this, hand over control to the pilot, to the person who will be taking us through the rest of the meeting. This gentleman is a business development consultant by profession and a budding life coach by passion. He says he accidentally joined Toastmasters in November 2018. And between you and me, I might have had something to do with this accident, but that's a story for a different day. Despite his short tenure in Toastmasters, he's a member of no less than 6 clubs. And he has really taken to Toastmasters with all vengeance. He has served as treasurer, vice president membership, and he's currently the vice president education of Bahrain Advanced Toastmasters, and is president of yet another one of my other clubs in which we are joint members, Allied Bahrain Communicators. Please put your hands together to welcome the Toastmaster of the evening, my good friend, my childhood friend, classmate, and we have done everything together. Toastmaster Farooq Kadir, the screen is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. A warm good evening to all of you. Past International President, Distinguished Toastmaster Dilip Abhisekara, International Director DTM Ali Shahbaz Ali, District 20 PQD DTM Khalid Abdullah, fellow Toastmasters from both Sri Lanka Club Symposium and Bahrain Advanced Toastmasters, and distinguished guests from all over the world. A very warm welcome to our joint meeting between the 2 distinguished clubs in Bahrain, who have worked relentlessly to put together this wonderful event that will surely go places. We are all here. We are actually all going places, and the only ones who are not now going anywhere else are the people in their graves. For to live is to move, and to move is to contribute. and to contribute positively is the purpose our founder, Ralph C. Smedley, founded Toastmasters. Today, we are going to try and put his dream into practice by going forward with this wonderful program. And with this, I would like to now start our education session. So with this, let me first introduce our grammarian today for the evening, who is none other distinguished Toastmaster Khalid Abdullah. Distinguished Toastmaster Khalid is currently the Program Quality Director for District 20 and its immediate past Club Growth Director. Besides being a member of BAPCO, Toastmasters Club, St. Paul Toastmasters Club, and Tamakan Advanced Toastmaster Club, he is serving as president of Active Minds Toastmaster Clubs and Bahrain Debaters Toastmaster Club, and is also the immediate past president of Bahrain Advanced Toastmasters Club. His purpose in life is to lead his kids by a good example of a father to be followed, and that's why he is in Toastmasters. When I asked him on his thoughts on the theme of the day, he feels enriched and proud to see Toastmasters going places through their development in Toastmasters. Please join me in welcoming our grammarian to explain his role. The floor is yours, DTM Khalid Abdullah.
Thank you so much, Master of Ceremonies, fellow Toastmasters and esteemed guests all over the world. Good evening to all of you. Let me share my screen so this would be more of a guided type of grammarian. So for the benefit of the guests, my role as the grammarian has two parts in it. First part is to introduce the word of the day. And the word of the day today is, as you can see from my profile as well, is relentless. Adjective is relentless. Noun is relentlessness. Relentlessly is the adverb, meaning continuing in a severe or extreme way, being so persistent, continuing in a determined way without any interruption. That's what relentless means. Example of its uses. He is campaigning relentlessly, trying to build support. I wish I could see our ID's face right now. I could not see it. Her relentless optimism held the team together. The hunter was relentless in pursuit of his prey. And I wish to try something. Whenever someone uses the word relentless, can we use those nice gadgets and show heart? Relentless. Wow, everyone is looking for the heart right now. Very nice, very nice. So this, I think, would encourage everyone, and we remind others that the word of the day has been used. So let's continue on this, and let's see how far we can go with those, wow, very lovely hearts. I feel like it's Valentine. The other part of my role, of course, is to watch over your English. So I'll be monitoring the good use of English, and maybe I'll propose areas of improvement toward the end of the meeting when I'm called upon by the general evaluator. Thank you so much. And let's be relentlessly listening to this session. Over to you, Master of Ceremonies. I can see that you are relentless, Master of Ceremonies, but you are mute.
Thank you to Toastmaster Khalid for your wonderful explanation of the role. Yes, and I have a habit of relentlessly forgetting to unmute or sometimes mute myself. And you know that better. It works both ways. Now, let us come to introduce our counter for today, who is Toastmaster Fauzan Umar. Toastmaster Umar joined Toastmasters 2 years ago to improve his public speaking and leadership skills. And through his dedication, ensured that he is going places, having served as Sergeant of Arms, Treasurer, and currently serving as VPPR at Sri Lanka Club Symposium. And for him, this is just the start of his journey towards excellence. Please join me in welcoming our relentlessly pursuing for excellence our counter, Toastmaster Fauzan Umar, to explain his role. Toastmaster Fauzan, floor is yours.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the day, my dear fellow Toastmasters, and most welcome guest. Good evening to you all. Today, I am the accounter. The purpose of the accounter is to note words and sounds that are used as a scratch or pause filler by anyone who speaks. During the meeting, I will listen for overused words, including and, well, but, so, and you know. I will also listen for filler sounds, including and er. I will also note when the speaker repeat a word or phrase, such as I, or this means. And at the gender regulation session, I will report the numbers of times that each speaker used these expressions. Back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Omar, for a wonderful explanation of your role as an accounter. Next, we come out to our most important role player, our timer, who ensures that we are relentlessly following the time, who is none other than Toastmaster Naomi Hatiarachi. Toastmaster Naomi is a fitness and dancing enthusiast. She is currently helping her father's business, loves to be around kids, and in free time, teaches primary school kids at no cost. And also, she's relentlessly learning French because she's crazy about Paris. Her observation on the theme of the day is that one really is going places only when they utilize their talents to successfully achieve their dreams and also support the dreams of the others. What a wonderful statement. Please join me in welcoming Toastmaster Naomi to explain her role as a timer for today's event. Toastmaster Naomi.
Thank you, Master of Ceremonies, for that lovely introduction. Fellow Toastmasters and distinguished guests, good evening. As timer, I will time all the prepared speakers, table topics, evaluations. I will also alert each speaker of the time they have left, using the green, yellow, and red screen, which denote specific timings. So for the prepared speeches, 5 to 7 minutes in length, at 5 minutes, I will display the green screen. At 6 minutes, I will display the yellow screen. At 7 minutes, I will display the red screen. For the keynote speech, at 10 minutes, I will display the green. At 15 minutes, yellow. And 18 minutes, I will display red. And for Q&A session, at 5 minutes, I will display green. At 7 minutes, I will display yellow. And 9 minutes, I will display red. And for table topic, speakers should limit their remarks for not more than 2 minutes. So at 1 minute, I will display green. At 1 and 30 seconds, I will display yellow. At 2 minutes, I will display red. For individual evaluation should be between 2 to 3 minutes. So at 2 minutes, I will display green. At 2 minutes and 30 seconds, I will display yellow. And 3 minutes, I will display red screen. And at the end of the session, I will notify you the timings which each speaker has taken. Back to you, Master of Ceremonies.
Thank you, Toastmaster Naomi. Please give her a big round of applause. Then we come to one important role. You know, when we are going on any trip or journey, those who are fathers know, there's always a question, are we there yet? So this is the person who will tell us after the whole meeting, are we there yet in the point of excellence we are? And he's going to tell us that. This is our general evaluator. Our general evaluator is the director of professional development unit, an educator, an entrepreneur, and a researcher in robotics and artificial intelligence. Wow. Is intelligence really artificial? I think we can deny that. He has led the largest district in the world in 2016, consisting of 7 countries in the Middle East, at that time over 360 clubs, and is the past Region 11 advisor for Middle East, Africa, and Pakistan, a certified registered parliamentarian, and currently serving as International Director at Toastmaster International. For this distinguished and in a disciplined and innovative individual, going places means expanding horizons and building a well-thought process. Please join me in welcoming distinguished Toastmaster Ali Shahbaz Ali to explain his role and at the end of the meeting to inform us, are we there yet? Distinguished Toastmaster Ali Shahbaz.
Thank you. Thank you very much, our Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Farooq. It's a pleasure to be your general evaluator today. And guess what? Something new or something which is coming up today as a GE, I can promise you it's, if not very, very new, it is the new normal. And it's one of the methods which is approved by Toastmasters International. You might have not seen that before, at least for many that I know. And if you have seen it before, keep it hush hush and let's enjoy it relentlessly. Of course, you have heard my team members' names before. I'll just repeat it. I'm not going to do that surprise alone. I will be needing all the support, and they are with me in this. Timer Naomi, Accounter Fauzan, grammarian our PQD Khalid, evaluators, DTMs Farhaz and Hisham. So this is a team, and I might pick at least one member of the audience to nail the coffin. Thank you very much. Over to you.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator DTM Ali Shahbaz Ali, for your explanation of the role. And we are looking forward to your evaluation of whether are we there yet? And maybe after your session, we will also tell you, are you there yet? We'll inform you about that. Now, before I call the first speaker of the evening, let me first introduce his evaluator, Distinguished Toastmaster Farhaz Farooq. Distinguished Toastmaster Farhaz presently runs a consulting practice, helping startups setting up and transformation and operational projects. He is a chartered accountant by profession and a public speaker by preference. He is a member of 8 clubs in the District 20 and 82, currently serving as president of Bahrain Advanced Toastmasters Club and as secretary of Pinnacle Advanced Toastmasters Club in Sri Lanka. He is a club coach of Toastmasters clubs in both Sri Lanka, Bahrain, and Kuwait, and a speech contest winner in all categories up to the district level. He enjoys being a mentor and coach for aspiring public speakers, and his aim in life is to leave behind useful knowledge that could benefit humanity and himself for eternity. When I asked about the theme of the day, he replied that metaphorically, it means for one to move out of their comfort zone and try out new things. And literally, it reminds him of the Quranic exhortation to go about in the world and know people of other races and tribes. And he feels that as the Toastmasters has enabled him to do that and become a voice promoting unity, cooperation, and striving for collective excellence. What a wonderful statement. Please join me in welcoming DTM Farhaz to explain the project objective of his speaker's speech. Over to you, DTM Farhaz.
Thank you so much, Mr. Toastmaster. I know I sent that entire introduction. I didn't expect you'll read the whole thing, but hey, thanks a lot. I really am grateful to you. Friends, the speaker who's going to come up next is DTM Dushan Kanchana, one of those who was responsible for pushing me into Toastmasters, and I haven't forgiven him for that yet. Thank you, Dushan. He is attempting an elective project from level 3 of his chosen path, and the chosen path is presentation mastery. The project is to connect with storytelling. The purpose of the project is for the member to practice using a story within the speech or giving a speech that is a story. Timer, please note, it's 5 to 7 minutes, and I look forward to listening to and being inspired by DTM Dushan. Over to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, our first elected DTM Farhaz. Our first speaker this evening is DTM Dushan Kanchana. He has been a Toastmaster for the last 10 years in Sri Lanka Club Symposium and also served as area director and club president, besides holding many positions in district events. He became a DTM in 2009. Tonight, he's attempting his level 3 Connect with Storytelling speech from the presentation Mastery Pathways. DTM Dushan, please, before I introduce you, have you pinned the timer?
Yeah, please.
Thank you. Please join me in welcoming.
Can you share with the timer that you can do it, no? From your
Okay.
side.
You want me to spotlight both of you later?
Yeah,
sir?
spotlight both of us.
Thank you. So can I ask the moderator please to do that for both of them? When the time comes to amber, you want, or the green, we will start spotlighting the timer also, sir. Is that okay for you?
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. So please join me in welcoming distinguished Toastmaster Dushan with his speech titled Leading with Compassion by distinguished Toastmaster Dushan Kanchana. Over to you, sir.
It was beautiful morning. Mr. Charming, the leader of the tribe, thinking to go his next voyage of the trade into his next place. He's a leader of the 500 tribes, and he is a very wise man with very good knowledge about the places in India. This time, his challenge to go to the Varanasi, the newest place for the trade. Master of ceremonies, my fellow Toastmasters and guests, good evening to you. As usual, he did his homework. He find out where these places are and talk to his other leaders and get start the things moving. But those days, there are no Google Maps. There are no any signboards to give them the direction. Where is Varanasi? They just count. It will take 14 days. But the dangerous thing is they need to cross the desert. As usual, they start their proceedings. They pass the mountains. They pass the rivers. They pass the villages. And the ninth day, they reach to the desert. Now, next few days, they need to cross the desert. We all know, normally, if you need to cross the desert, you must do it in the night time, because morning time, the weather is difficult. And also, the way they can found only with the stars. That is why the leader, Mr. Charming, knows how to read the stars. The stars will give the way to the Varanasi. They start. When the 13th day comes, he understood that yes, next day night, they will reach there. They have been overjoyed. They had the parties, they finished their food, they finished the food for the bulls and ox, all done, because they know next 24 hours, they will reach to the Varanasi. Then, because of the hard work, long nights, unfortunately, the leader, Mr. Charming, got slept. You know what happened. When the next day he wake up and see they are in the same place. Because the cow, the bulls there, they turn it to the wrong way. And they go around and came to the same place. Now the things changing. The great leader, the visionary leader, and the people's leader become public enemy. All 500 other people asking the question, what we going to do? Are we going to die? Or what? This is your mistake. Why you slept? You are the person given us the way. What to do? Charmin got the two options. One is die with the people. The second is fight and survive. He chose the second. He get down from the tribes and he walked. Then he saw in the air some birds, eagles rounding. Normally, eagles rounding in the desert because of the food. It means some animals you can see at the desert. If the animals, you can find the water. When he walked through the desert, he saw small plant. In the desert, if there's a plant, you can find the water. He dig down. In desert, you cannot dig the holes because all the sand will go inside. He cut the hole far away, and fortunately, he found the rock. He kept his ear to the rock and he heard that water drizzling sound. You may all know, most of the people believe that in deserts there are rivers at bottom. Then he called to their people. They all 500 people get together and dig it, and they found the water. They are overjoyed. Their leader, the visionary leader, saved them. This is a story from the history of the Buddhist. There's a book called 550 Stories. In our language, we are calling it Pansiya Panas Jatake. This is stories about Lord Buddha's previous life. This story, Lord Buddha telling to one of his bhikkhu because he already gave up. He's the charming in that life. The moral of the story is the leadership. Number one, when you choose the leader needs to know the ground. He needs to be in that area, or he needs to know about his place or his country or his job or his office or his team. Number two is leaders can't sleep. If you let your team down, if you let the bulls to run the thing, you will be in struggle. Then the number three is leader need to be wise and he cannot give up. This is the thing we can see all around the world, the great leaders and the losers. This is a difference between leaders and losers. You need to be wise.
Thank you, distinguished Toastmaster Dushyant Kanchana, for a wonderful speech. And please give him a big round of applause. Now, before I call the second speaker of the evening, please let me introduce her evaluator, distinguished Toastmaster Hisham Jif. Distinguished Toastmaster Hisham describes himself as a lifelong aficionado of reading, hopelessly and relentlessly in love with the beautiful language and literature, and he's humbled to call Sri Lanka Club Symposium his home for the last 7 years. When I asked him about the theme of the day, he replied that going places equals to start immediately plus don't stop moving multiplied by support from mentors. I think I need to say that again. He said it means going places equals to start immediately plus don't stop moving multiplied by support from vendors. Well, what can you expect from a finance professional? Nothing but a formula to maximize your investment in any endeavor, including Toastmasters. Please join me in welcoming DTM Hisham to explain the project objectives of his speakers. DTM Hisham, over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster of the Day. Honored guests, guests from Bahrain Advanced Toastmasters, fellow Sri Lanka Club Symposium Toastmasters, Mr. Toastmaster of the Day, good evening to you. DTM Thuraiya is attempting the final project from level 1 of presentation mastery, and today she will relentlessly put that finishing dot on presentation mastery level 1. The objectives of the project is for DTM Thuraiya to learn and review basic research methods and present a well-organized, well-researched speech on any topic. The topic can be of any nature. It should be well organized and well delivered. It can be humorous, informational, or of any style. Knowing the relentless leadership and the relentless focus on excellence of our speaker, I'm sure that we are in for a treat. I wish you all the best. Back to you, Mr. TM.
Thank you, distinguished Toastmaster Hisham. I think this explanation was much easier for me to understand than your formula, which I know if I understand properly, I will maximize my investment anyway. Now let us come to our second speaker for the evening, who is none other than distinguished Toastmaster Thuraiya Juma. Distinguished Toastmaster Thuraiya is a Toastmaster since 2009, has served as a past Area 3, now Area 1 Governor, past Division Director 4, now Division D. So you can see how long she has been there. She has seen all the experiences. Professionally, she is a professor of mathematics at the University of Bahrain, loves meeting people, enjoys nature, and caring for animals. For her, the statement "going places" means exploring and enjoying meeting people. What a wonderful, friendly person. Tonight, she is attempting her level 1 research and presenting speech from the presentation mastery path. Before I invite her, can I request the moderator to highlight her or spotlight her? And DTM Thuraiya, are you able to pin the timer?
No, if she is spotlighted, she won't be able to pin the timer.
Okay.
I will pin
so
the
we
timer
will spotlight the timer for you. Is
Yes.
that okay, DTM Thuraiya?
Let me share my
Yeah.
slide.
Yes, and just to point out, your voice is a little low. If you can come closer, please, to the mic or something, that might be better.
I will increase it when I speak.
Okay. Yeah, good. Now, please join me, everybody, in welcoming DTM Thuraiya with her speech titled "A Symbol for Nothing," a symbol for nothing by distinguished Toastmaster Thuraiya Juma. Over to you, Toastmaster, distinguished Toastmaster Thuraiya.
Just let me try to find timer, because I cannot see her.
Distinguished Toastmaster Thuraiya, your voice is very low, it's breaking up.
Yeah,
Can
I
you?
cannot see the timer, so
We will spotlight her for you.
Right. Okay. All right. So
Now it's clear.
okay. So you can hear me. I am standing here.
Yes, we can hear you better now.
Right. Okay. I will keep it up.
Thank you. Please proceed. Over to you.
My slide is just me. Yeah. Now I will start. Can you see my slide?
We can see your slides clear and yourself also.
Yeah. Thank you. Would someone tell me what this number is?
11.
Oh, excellent. What about this number?
1 1.
1 1. But if we read it as a number, how much it will be?
Of course, it is number.
11.
Yeah, but what number?
11. 11.
A very fat 11.
how we differentiate between 11, 101 or 101 or 1001 or maybe 1000 million, if there is a little gap between them. Master of Ceremonies, fellow Toastmaster, honorable guest, imagine for a second our life without this little circle, which we called 0. How it will be? Oops. How it will be? Will be able to? Are we going to be able to differentiate between 100, 1 or 11 or 1,000,001? Of course, we will not be able. The question is, who invented this number? How do we know about it? This important of this number is not only differentiating, imagining that we are complaining about we don't have a money. How we used to present it by this 0. So to know who has invented this number, how we came to know about it, let me take you back in time in a journey through different civilizations to have a close look at their numeral system to see which civilization invented this small little circle, which we call 0. Now we are taking it for granted, of course. So are you ready? Put your shoes, have a bottle of water, and join me. Starting from Egypt, the pyramid, the sunshine. Imagine the pharaohs, the peoples there are busy working. But we came here not to enjoy all that. We came to look at their numbers. What? There is no 0 there. Can you see? They have a characters from 1 to 10 and then even for 1,000,000, but they did not have a 0 notation. Then the question, how they write nothing in their calculation? There's nothing. They will use the word nothing. So they did not have sample. Let us move to another place. Go all the way to currently Iraq. In ancient time is the great Babylonian civilization with their 7 gardens. They use numeral system different than us. They use actually what is called hexadecimal number. It is from 1 to 59. They did not have the number as simple for 0. So how they presented their number? They will have a space between the number. So if they want to present 101, they will use the notation for 1, the notation for 100, between them space. People will know about the zeros, the location, by reading the manuscript, and from the context, they will differentiate different numbers. Still, we don't find which civilization. So we need to move again to another civilization to find out. We will go all the way back to Europe in ancient time, and specifically to Greece, with all their invention and spreading all over the old world. Their numbers, they use the alphabetic and they use new Roman numbers, which again, they did not have a notation for a 0, a simple for a 0. Our mission became more difficult. All these civilizations did not have the 0. So who invented it? Let us move to another place, to another civilization. This time we will go back to the east and we will go all the way to India. In 1881, a manuscript was found, which is called the Charlie manuscript. And it is a mathematical, it's contained from 70 bricks. On there, they found some of the calculations, there is a small dot. If you look at it, again, is different than the 0 we know now, but at that time, this is the 0 they used. According to the Professor Marcos from University of Oxford, they have this manuscript and they did a carbon dating to find out when this was written. And he found that this was written in the 4th century. And this is, by the way, is the first time to find when actually the zero is, when people get to know it. Question now raised to our mind. Okay, it is in the East India. How it spread all over the world. In the 8th century, when the Arabs invaded around the world and they established the Islamic Empire from India, the East, to Spain in the West, they collected all the books in a library in Baghdad called the House of Wisdoms. And of course, one of the books is from India. The director at that time was Muhammad bin Musa al-Khwarizmi. He was fascinated with the Indian numeral system, especially the last symbol, which represent nothing in the Indian culture. He took that numeral system, worked on them, and from there changed the Arabic in numeral. These numeral moved all the way to Spain, and that's why it started to be known as Hindu-Arabs in numeral. Then how it came to Europe. So this is when we are comparing the Indian with the current system we are using now. Then while in Spain, an Italian mathematician found these numbers. He was accounting, dealing with a lot of numbers and a lot of calculations to find the balance of the church. He used to work with Roman numbers, which was difficult for him. When he started working with this Hindu-Arabs numeral, was easy for him. So he introduced this system to the West. Unfortunately, at the beginning, there was a hesitation. Why? Because this is small number, the zero number, confused people. It was easy to change it from 0 to 6 or to 9. But later on, he managed to convince the church to start using that number. And this is how we get to know this number, our thing. So it moves all the way. So it moves all the way from India to Baghdad to Spain, and then goes to Italy. And from Italy, after Dark Age time, it spread all over the world, and it came to us. As we can see, the importance of zero is not in our daily life, even in the machine as well. How they gave it the name zero did not start by 0, because remember, it came from India. So they used to call it Shonabendo, and pronounce it correctly. The Arabs translated this name to 7, and then when it's moved to Europe, in the Latin language, it's changed to 0. So that is the journey of 0. Toastmaster, the journey of knowing 0 was not an easy, and we saw how it moves from India all the way to Spain. Even this journey moving, it was not easy, it was up and down. But with 7 minutes, unfortunately, I cannot cover all of it. I encourage you and urge you to watch the Science Museum documentary, which explains about the discovery of the timing of this 0, which we are using now. By that, I have the control back to our MC. Back to the MC.
Thank you, Toastmaster Soraya, for your wonderful speech and telling us how the symbol of 0 came about. Please give her a big round of applause. Next, we come to the highlight of the event, which is our keynote speaker. But before that, I would now like to hand over to the moderator of that keynote session, which will be followed by question and answers. None other than our General Orator, Distinguished Toastmaster Ali Shehbaz Ali. Over to you, Distinguished Toastmaster Ali, for the keynote session. Moderator.
Thank you very much, our T. Modi. I just hope my voice is clear. Just show me a thumbs up if that's the case. Great. Now that we are done with some amazing keynote speeches, a lot of moral story in the first speech, and then the second one, story about zero. Let's just stretch ourselves, stretch your arms, do some shoulder exercises. Let's get ready for the next big thing. So, are you all good to go? Let's begin. Because all your blood must rush to your brains to hear what the next big thing is going to tell us. It took us nearly 2 months or more to get him here to Bahrain Advance and Sri Lankan Symposium Club to get the dates right. Sometimes the sun and moon were not in our favor. When we had sun, he had moon. When he had moon, we had sun. So we got the sun and moon together today. Let me give you a small synopsis of what's going to happen next. What does the Toastmasters experience offer you? What do you receive in exchange for your time, energy, and financial investment in Toastmasters? This is, by the way, very much the introduction of the next speaker. A question for which every member desires an answer. And our guest speaker is in a unique position to answer these questions. He has been a Toastmaster for more than 35 years and has drunk deeply from the Toastmasters fountain. There are many things what you can drink from these fountains, especially the Toastmasters fountain. He has excelled in both communication track and the leadership track, and can honestly say that Toastmasters changed his life. He's a proud member of Greater Susquehanna Valley Toastmasters Club in District 38, of the Greater Newark Area Toastmasters Club in District 18, and the Colombo Toastmasters Club in District 82, 3 different districts. He is excited to know that Toastmasters from Bath as well as Sri Lanka Club Symposium are in attendance at this meeting. His speech title is Serendipity, a Toastmasters Journey. I'll give you the timings of the next big session. The time of his keynote is 20 minutes plus 10 minutes for amazing question answers. Let's welcome our guest all the way from Pennsylvania, USA, distinguished Toastmaster, an accredited speaker, and the past international president, none other than Dilip Abhiyasekara. Dilip Abhiyasekara.
Mr. International Director Ali Shehbaz Ali, thank you for that wonderful introduction. And thank you, BAT and SCLC Toastmasters, for doing me the favor and the honor of addressing you. The best that I can give you is to talk with you about my journey in Toastmasters. And I have found a word that symbolizes that. It's the word serendipity. Serendipity, as DTM Faraz Farooq alluded to earlier, means the occurrence of an unplanned but fortunate discovery. This was one of the great serendipitous moments of my life when I walked into my first Toastmasters Club. I ask you to think back to when you first were exposed to Toastmasters, and now consider where you are today and ask yourself, have you made a very fortunate discovery? And for me, I can say it is a discovery that changed my life. The root word serendib goes back to Horace Walpole, the English writer who wrote what DTM Faraz Farooq described with the title, The Three Princes of Serendib. And Serendib is an ancient Persian name for Sri Lanka. So I thought, how fortunate that I, a Sri Lankan, have discovered the true meaning of Serendib by dipping my toes in the pool of Toastmasters. And you yourselves, my friends, have discovered that and are continuing to discover that the potential for learning and growth in this pool of Toastmasters is unlimited. It was 1986 when I was engaged in my first professional job. I was a chemist at a company in St. Louis, Missouri. And I had heard about an organization called Toastmasters. And I told my wife, you know, it looks like this is a place where people come to give speeches and be heard. And I love to give speeches. I had competed in my school debating team, competed in college forensics competitions. I love the idea of having an audience. And I thought, wow, that sounds like fun. That's all I knew about Toastmasters. Well, it so happened that a club in St. Louis put a little ad in the newspaper saying, the Toastmasters Club meets here. They gave the date and the time and said the public is welcome. She showed it to me. I thought, wow, that's only a few miles from home. I'll go and check it out. I went. It was a club run very professionally, just like yours. And I loved the idea. I even participated in table topics by accident, but because the Toastmaster who was doing the table topics did not know that I was a guest and called on me and asked me, why did you join Toastmasters? And I thought, that's funny. I came to find out why I should join Toastmasters, but I made up something and blurted it out. And I guess it connected with people because at the end of the meeting, I was given the best speaker trophy for table topics. And then they said, oh, you have to come back because that trophy is a traveling trophy and you had to return it so that the person who wins it the next time can get it. I thought these people have a very interesting way of getting people to come back. They give them a trophy and then tell them to bring it back the next time. But I discovered that what I had found out was not just something interesting, not just something that would help me grow, but I also discovered a new family. I discovered the genius of Ralph Smedley, our founder, when he set up the Toastmasters Club as the home, the place where future communicators and leaders are nurtured. I discovered what he meant when he said the Toastmasters Club is a place that is positive, that is supportive, and that encourages people to reach out beyond their comfort zones. This is where I began to discover the 3 C's of serendipity. The first C I discovered was the courage to stretch. The courage to stretch. For me, stretching was not speaking in public, but stretching was receiving feedback. I remember at that first club, when I received feedback on one of my early speeches, I didn't agree with the evaluator. But a gentleman who had decided to take me under his wing noticed my facial expression. And at the end of the meeting, he called me and said, Dilip, if you really want to improve, if you really want to become the great speaker that you can be, you must pay attention to the evaluations, because in them you will find the seeds for your own growth. This was my first mentor in Toastmasters. His name was George Knobloch. He was a German immigrant, and he attributed his success to what he learned in Toastmasters because he became a very successful engineer. But George Knobloch's words stayed with me. I remember driving home that evening after my meeting and thinking, he is right. From now on, I'm going to take those evaluations seriously. And it was then that I began to improve as a speaker and as a person. Yes, I discovered that Toastmasters was not just about speaking, it was about listening, about analyzing, and about learning how to give feedback in a way that other people could receive it. And I discovered Smedley's genius, the concept of the SPF factor. This is what I have called it, the SPF factor. S for supporting, P for positive, and F for fun. Any club that is supportive and positive and fun will endure because people will not only learn, they will grow, and they will enjoy coming to that club. If you're not having fun, there's something wrong in your club. But if you're not learning, education is not being given. And if you're not being positive, people will not stretch. The courage to stretch comes when people realize that this is a place they can stretch without being cut down, a place where they can stretch because they are being raised up. The SPF factor, the genius of Ralph Smedley. But I discovered that there was something more for me because I heard about the World Championship of Public Speaking, and I thought, oh, this is a great place for me to stretch. I'll see what I can do there. And as I competed and I won, my confidence grew and grew. And as people supported me and encouraged me, not only telling me how I could improve, but telling me that I had the potential, I discovered the second C, the confidence to achieve. I had gone from the courage to stretch to the confidence to achieve. And so I competed seriously. And I kept winning at the district level, but I kept losing at the regional level, which now you call the semifinals. And then I thought, well, I'm not learning something that I need to learn to get to the next level. What is it? And I found that my club members could not help me because they had not reached the higher levels either. And so I went outside my club, talked with knowledgeable Toastmasters. And then I thought, perhaps it is my Sri Lankan accent. At that time, I had a much more pronounced accent. And members of the SCLC, you can understand this because as you go to the higher levels, you're speaking to larger audiences. And the judges come from many different parts of the world. And so I enrolled with a professional speech coach who listened to me and helped me learn to form words that could be understood by the American ear, by the European ear, by all ears. She said, I will teach you to also teach yourself how to pronounce words so that people can understand it. I became relentless in my pursuit for improvement. I wasn't happy just winning at one level. I wanted to win at the next level. And I discovered that in order to win at the higher levels, you have to humble yourself and seek mentors, people who have greater knowledge than you have. And so I was mentored by world champions. The 1990 world champion, David Brooks, the 1986 world champion, Will Johnson, the 1989 world champion, Don Johnson. I became a student at their feet because I knew that they could teach me something that I needed. And then I had other great mentors, a past international president, Ted Wood. Through all these people, I began to expand in a way I had never expected to before. My joining Toastmasters had introduced me to the journey of discovery, discovering not only my passion, but discovering how I could become better and share with others what I had discovered. I remember when I had placed number 2 in the World Championship of Public Speaking in 1992. In 1993, I competed again. I got to the World Championship, but I did not place. And then I thought, oh, I got to give this another shot. 1995, 1994 would be my year. But my chief mentor, past international Ted Wood, saw me and he knew how much I wanted to compete, but he saw something beyond that. And perhaps International Director Ali Shahbaz Ali can relate to this. He came to me and said, Dilip, we know you can speak, but we need you in leadership. And I was shocked. This past international president, who I honored so much, was telling me that it's not about me winning more trophies, but it's about me giving something back to this organization which has given me so much. Can you relate to that? And especially seasoned members of Toastmasters should be able to relate to that, because then they realize, oh yes, I came to Toastmasters to get something, but now I'm staying in Toastmasters to give something. So I discovered the joy of the third C, the caring to build. I had gone from the courage to stretch, to the confidence to achieve, to the caring to build. Everyone who is in a leadership position is now introduced to leadership as the highest calling, because we are called to be servant leaders, not people who are in for their own glory, but people who are in there to make a difference for other people, to help Toastmasters discover the serendipity that our organization offers. Caring to build. And leadership for me was that doorway that beckoned me. I went from club leadership to district leadership to the board, and then finally being elected international president. And because of my understandings of these 3 C's of serendipity, the courage to stretch, the confidence to achieve, the caring to build, I chose as my international president's theme something that embodied all 3 of these. And I called it Find Your Voice, Serve Your World. I was there to find my voice, but once I found it, I found, yes, there's a meaning. Your voice is not supposed to be kept to yourself. It is to be shared with the world. And Toastmasters gives you the forum, the opportunity. And I discovered the joy of sharing it with Toastmasters worldwide. My friends, what are you doing with the voice that you are finding in Toastmasters? Are you sharing it simply to get trophies or simply to get more advanced level recognition? Or what are you doing with your voice to make a difference in the lives of others? What difference has your voice made so far? And what difference can it make? I ask you to think about it. Whether you are in Bahrain, or in Sri Lanka, or in Saudi Arabia, or any other place in the world, we are in a unique position to make a difference. So I'm going to pause there, take questions and answers, and then I'll come back and wrap this up. So I return control now to ID Ali Shabazz Ali.
Thank you very much, PIP Dilip. I do understand it's a pause, but let's give a thunderous round of applause. That was awesome, and we surely look forward for a closing. It's not done yet. It's just like the speech. We heard the gaps between the ones, but we do need to know what it is there, something more. I was just wondering, DTM Dilip, find your voice. I have been seeing it in a lot of brochures. Was that the reason we got it on the publications?
Good question. This is what happened. I was approaching the election where, I would be elected international president. And then when I was elected, I knew that very soon I would have to come up with a theme. In those old days, every international president chose a theme for their year. And I had to come up with a theme, and I wanted it to be meaningful. And I thought, what can I come up with that has not already been said? And as I reflected on my journey in Toastmasters, I thought I must definitely talk about discovering my potential in some way. But there should be something more, something beyond myself. What is that? So I thought and thought and thought, and soon I was coming to the point where I had to notify World Headquarters what my theme would be, and I did not have this. So one day at about 2 in the morning, I woke up from my sleep, again with this thought in my head, and I thought, well, down in the basement, I keep all my Toastmasters supplies. I'm going to go down there and just look through my Toastmaster books, magazines, see what idea I can get. And I came across a brochure that said, "Find your voice." I thought, find your voice. Yes, that talks about us discovering our own abilities and potential and passions. I like that. Now, what can I add to that challenges people to go beyond themselves? It has 3 words: find your voice. I want to come up with 3 words that balance that. And then I discovered right there, that morning in my house basement, I said, yes, it's about service. How about find your voice, serve your world? I wrote that on a piece of paper, left it for my wife to see when she came down for breakfast. And I asked her, tell me what you think of this theme. And she told me, I love it. I said, okay, it's decided then. That day itself, I emailed that to World Headquarters, and that became the theme. But Toastmasters periodicals and publications have often used the word find your voice. I just gave it that other part of the story, which is we are not here just to find our voice, but do something with it. Serve your world.
Wow. Great things happen in the basement. Unfortunately, in many of our houses in Bahrain, we don't have the basement. We start digging and we will find sea. So that's the meaning of Bahrain. DTM Philip, there's a question here. Dilip, there's a question here. As you stopped competing and moved into leadership. So as you stopped competing and moved into leadership, do you ever regret not pursuing the World Championship of Public Speaking when you were so close to it? DTM Dilip?
Yes, I have had some regrets. Regrets were particularly sharp in my heart soon after I left the competition track. But then, I discovered something. I discovered that people were coming to me for coaching and mentoring. People that I would normally compete against were coming to me for help and tips and coaching. And then I discovered the joy of helping others win. And my goal turned from winning the trophy to helping someone else win the trophies. And so I turned my thought process over from winning for me to helping other people win for themselves and discover their voice, their potential, and have a positive difference for others. So since then, I have been a coach and a mentor for hundreds of people, particularly one world champion. And I have not had any regrets, because what it caused me to do was to stop thinking about myself and ask, how can I help others win? How can I help others discover what they're capable of being? And their success becomes my success. So that has been my story.
How inspiring. DTM Dilip, how far has your wife had an influence in your success? She was the one who found the Toastmasters ad in the newspaper, after all.
Yes.
Your thoughts, please.
Yes. My thoughts are, I owe everything to her, because she not only introduced me to the Toastmasters Club there in St. Louis, Missouri, but she has been by my side all the way. She has come to every important speech contest I've had. She has been to every country I visited as international president. I visited 12 different districts, and she was with me at every district visit. She has been what I call the wind beneath my wings. And so I share everything that I have gained in Toastmasters. I point towards her and say, we have done this together, you and I.
That's awesome. Relentlessly romantic and inspiring again. DTM Dilip, you are one of the rare international presidents who is an accredited speaker. And coming with that package is something amazing. Any words of wisdom for people to take that track as well of being an accredited speaker? Because the trend is always the World Championship of Public Speaking.
Yes.
How would you motivate them to take this track?
Very good question. I'm glad you asked it, because it allows me to talk about the accredited speaker track. Remember, the World Championship of Public Speaking is a competitive track where only one person, or sometimes two, can be declared the winner of each speech contest. But in the accredited speaker track, it is not a competition. The accredited speaker was set up in order to recognize Toastmasters who show professional speaking skills and expertise in a subject area that people are willing to pay to listen to. So there are two different processes that you go through. One is win, 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 beat other people so that you can win and get to the top. The other is, do you have the capability to command an audience where they will pay good money to come hear you speak? Do you have the expertise, and do you have the speaking skills to provide value to people? And in order to get to that level, it requires something more than competitive speaking, because then you have to really think about that audience and give value to them. You have to become an expert at something the audience wants to learn about, and you have to have top-level speaking skills. And I had wanted to become a professional speaker. That's why the accredited speaker track appealed to me. This is what I would recommend. I would recommend to Toastmasters, if you are interested in professional level speaking skills, first do your manual speeches, because you will learn in them. You will receive feedback and become better and better. Then you want to compete. because in competition, you will polish your skills to a very high level and then speak at district conferences or large gatherings and seek to speak to non-Toastmaster audiences, because you will learn how to read people, read audiences, give value to them. Then polish your expertise in a specific area where you have a passion. My passion was communication. So I read everything I could find it, went to seminars, listened to experts, and within a few years, I had become an expert in communication. But because I had competed and polished my skills, I put the two together and was able to achieve the accredited speaker. So if that is something that appeals to you, please do, but don't try to do it without mentors. When I attained my accredited speaker status, I had 3 Toastmaster mentors, 3 accredited speakers who had been my advisors. Toastmasters shows that you don't have to do everything by yourself. You have to supply the drive, but there are people, knowledgeable people who are willing to help you, lift you up, encourage you, and guide you. Make use of that. This is the power and the magic of Toastmasters.
Dilip, for those willing to go for accredited speaker, please go ahead and do that. I have received some questions on the chat to everybody and some personally to me. I'll just take the last 2 questions so that we don't run out of the time. If you had to relentlessly redo this all over again, what will you change, DTM Dilip? Will you start the leadership journey early?
That is a question that I think every Toastmaster faces. Remember, when I joined Toastmasters, I wasn't thinking of leadership. And I fell in love with speech contests and speaking. But when Ted Wood challenged me and said, "We need you in leadership," I knew he had seen something in me that I myself was ignoring. If I were to go back and do it, I think I would just do everything the same way, except for one change. I mentioned how in 1992, I placed second at the World Championship. So I knew I had to do something more, but I thought I knew everything I needed to know. That was my mistake. I did not reach out to a mentor who had done the same thing. For example, the person who beat me for first place in 1992 had been the second place winner the previous year. And I wish I had reached out to him and said, "What did you do? Tell me," instead of trying to do everything myself the next year to get the first place win. I did not do that. And I blame myself for not seeing that I could, although I had placed second, that I could do something more. But I tried to do it by myself. That's the one thing I would change. But I would not change anything in leadership that I have done. In fact, the happiest leadership opportunity I gained was when I became president of a club that had only 8 members. And I put everything I knew into leadership into that. And in 1 year, we had grown from 8 members to 39 members to President's distinguished club. And I remember the joy we felt, and we became like a family. So yes, I would never give up leadership, and I stay in leadership because now I'm in a position to help and encourage other rising leaders and rising speakers.
Thanks, DTM Dilip. Your quick comments on the last question. Sorry, audience, but in the interest of time, we won't take more questions. DTM Dilip, as you turned into leadership journey, you may have encountered issues that goes against your personal values. How did you deal with those?
That's a very deep question. The first thing I would say is make Toastmaster values your own. we talk about the core values of Toastmasters: showing respect, providing service, living a life of integrity and excellence. Those actually meshed with my own values. And so I think that is one reason why I found Toastmasters a natural home for myself, because those were my values too. But in leadership, you run across people who have not understood those values. And so when someone does not understand it and runs counter it, then it is our opportunity to help them discover it. But even then, you might experienced leaders like you might discover that sometimes people just don't get it. But I say always treat people with respect, even if they don't see eye to eye with you. Always provide service, but never compromise your values. Does that mean that once in a while you might have to lose a friendship with a Toastmaster? Yes. And I can think of 2 instances where the values of 2 advanced, one was a DTM, Toastmaster, did not mesh with the Toastmaster values and therefore did not mesh with mine. And therefore I could not support them. And they walked away from me and I lost their friendship. But that's a price you have to pay when you stand on your values. And yes, remember, the most important person to respect is yourself. So always be able to respect yourself, then respect others. And if they walk away, that is a decision they have had to make themselves. But stand your ground on your values.
Wow, I'm just getting some goosebumps listening to this. Do you feel the same, audience? This is serious, some wisdom we'll carry on for the rest of our lives. Thanks a lot, DTM Dilip.
Thank you. Yes, and may I close with a closing remark?
Sure.
So I always want to leave something for you to think about. So that because the last thing a speaker says sometimes is the thing that you remember the most. And one guiding principle I had in this journey, this serendipitous journey I shared with you, the courage to stretch, the confidence to achieve, the caring to build, is that you have to see beyond yourself at some point. Yes, build yourself up, become the person you were meant to be, but see beyond yourself. And one of my favorite quotes is by Dr. Albert Schweitzer, the great humanitarian, the world-class pianist, the MD who went to Africa to start a mission there. And he said, I don't know what your destiny will be, but this I do know, the happiest people are those who have found and sought a way to serve. Those who have sought and found a way to serve. Toastmasters gave me that opportunity. And I see today's opportunity as a way to serve you, BAT Toastmasters, SCLC Toastmasters, because the world depends on people like you. And Toastmasters provides an opportunity to make a difference in our world, in a world that is too often dark, and we ourselves can shine the light that Toastmasters offers us. I thank you for your attention, for this opportunity, and I wish you all the best. And I wish you the best, International Director Ali Shahbaz Ali, as you also continue your Toastmasters leadership journey. But most of all, remember that you became a Toastmaster, not for yourself, but for what you can do for your world. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, DTM Dilip. Probably one round of applause is not enough, but that's the best we can do here. Thank you so much. 17,000 clubs around the world, more than 300,000 members around the world. Everybody wants a piece of DTM Dilip. And it's a sure honor to have him here in both the clubs, Bath and Sri Lankan Club Symposium. On behalf of everybody, thank you once again, past international president, accredited speaker, DTM Dilip.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
God bless. I give the control back to our dynamic Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Farooq.
Thank you, panel moderator and question answer, DTM Ali Shahbaz Ali. What a wonderful session. Yes, I'm still excited. I'm thrilled. I have goosebumps all over me. So for our next session, Toastmaster Nuha, no pressure. For our next session is the dynamic table topics, and our table topic for the evening is Toastmaster Nuha Madri. Toastmaster Nuha is a translator with a passion for teaching toddlers, which gives her actually an excuse for consuming more crayons, colors, and clay, and spending a fortune on stationery. A proud mother of two beautiful daughters, Yara and Lara, and a handsome son Sharfuddin. She is a proud member and the vice president membership of Bahrain Advanced Toastmaster Club. For her, the statement "going places" reiterates her belief that good people are what make good places, and wouldn't mind going on a world tour and go to these places to find these people. That's the spirit. Please join me in welcoming our dynamic and enthusiastic Toastmaster who's going to go places, Toastmaster Nuha, our table topic master. Over to you, Toastmaster Nuha.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster of the day. Well, we've made it to the part of the Toastmasters meeting where we learn and to quickly organize and deliver our thoughts on a certain topic. As our lovely timer today indicated in table topics, we limit our response into 1 to 2 minutes. And our theme today is going places. And I choose to go with the going places, listening, and figuring. I chose to you 8 different proverbs from 8 countries from around the world. And we know that proverbs are result of thoughts of people who went places that maybe nobody else went. So are you ready to start? Am I audible?
Yes,
yes,
you are.
Wonderful. So let's see who's our first table topic participation. May I call just 1 second. Okay, may I call DTM Husni to be our first table topic commentator?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. So you may choose one of our 8 countries. Which country would you like to visit?
I'd like to go to USA.
Okay, USA. And this is a proverb by a Native American proverb. And it says, listen to the wind, it talks. Listen to the silence, it speaks. Listen to your heart, it knows. I advise you to use the word of the day, relentless. Over to you, DTM.
Thank you very much. What a wonderful quote from the American. It's great honor I chose USA because I'm working for USA at the moment while speaking to you. Let me connect with the theme of the day, going places, and the quote of that great quote. With this inspirational, after listening to this inspirational speech, I was thinking, have I stopped going places beyond what I have gained from Toastmasters? Because the great speech I got is that he learned from Toastmasters and he's spreading the leadership to others, which means he's going beyond his capacity and he's delivering his leadership speech skills. So I was just wondering, I must take the same approach. It's enough that we always gain from Toastmasters. This time that we should give to others. And that's what the quote says. Sometimes when you're in silence, you listen to this. And this, after listening to this inspirational speech, I have decided to go beyond and spread the leadership skills that we have learned from this Toastmasters journey. Over to Table Topic Master.
Thank you very much, DTM Hosni. I believe, yes, I agree with you. We should go places in leadership and let our voice be heard by everyone. Can I call now distinguished Toastmaster Ahmed Rizvi? Are you willing to take up a topic? You're on mute, DTM Rizvi.
Yes, please. Yes.
Okay, you might choose any country except USA.
I would say I would like to select Sudan.
Wonderful. Okay, so let's go to Sudan. Okay, and this proverb says, a termite can do nothing to a stone but lick it. A termite can do nothing to a stone but lick it. Over to you.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. After listening to such a wonderful speech from DTM Dilip Abhisekar, I was rather relentless in my journey of Toastmasters. I was far away from my thoughts. Table Topic Master, fellow Toastmasters and most distinguished Toastmasters present here. Good evening to you all. When I chose this country, I was thinking about the country's economical situations and all other difficult part of the nation it has gone through. And I have a colleague in my office also who is a Sudanese who speaks about his country a lot. So when this team going places, when it came to my mind, I was really happy to choose this country. But the thought and the quote what you have given, yes, no matter how small, how tiny we are, by doing something simple, we can make a world of difference in our life. Maybe the difficult tasks in front of us, maybe the rocks, but at least by licking, you will be able to contribute to something, at least to clean that rock a little bit by licking it. So no matter how small things you are doing, it doesn't matter whether your size or your height or your massiveness or feminism or anything, whatever. But a simple thing what you do can serve the purpose. Definitely, it will make a world of difference. So please make use of your life
at least to do something in your life. Over to you, Topic Master.
Thank you very much, DJ Rizvi. Yes, I agree. It doesn't matter how big or small you are, how young or old you are, you can make a difference. And I am happy to see the effect of our guest speaker keynote speech today on the guests and the members, and raising up the positivity and level of enthusiasm. May I have one of the guests, Toastmaster Jeffrey, would you like to take a topic?
Yes, please. I would be thrilled.
So which country would you like to visit except Sudan and USA?
I'll be choosing the Italy.
Okay, Italy. Okay, the proverb goes, after the game, the king and the pawn goes into the same box. After the game, the king and the pawn goes into the same box. Over to you.
Life is a game, but dangerous to play. Fellow Toastmasters and my valued affable guest, a pleasant evening. That game, I presume, that is a chess. Each and every pieces of the game chess gets back into the same box. Like us human beings, you might be a president of you might be a president of a country, and you might be as an assemblyman or a pure, simple man, a member of the society. At the end of the day, you are still living in a same place called nation, country. Ladies and gentlemen, what I am trying to say here is we all have to live in one place, like this is in the world. If you are gaming or if you are playing, a king or a top player and a newbie player or a neophyte gets back to the corner to strengthen the qualities that they have. A winner will never stop learning, and a loser will never stop fighting. So fellow Toastmasters, ladies and gentlemen, do not be afraid of thinking of how you spreading or widening your horizon, strengthening your capabilities. Maybe you are going to get fight with a king or a top player and you are just a neo. After some time, by pushing harder and harder, surely you'll be the king and the king will rest and another neophyte will come. And that is the evolution of life. You keep on learning and it is an endless education. Back to you, Toastmaster, Table Topic Master.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Jeffrey, and our district champion in evaluation, and still keeping learning and still attending meetings. So thank you for that. And we have a chance for one more table topics. So our guest, DTM Jalal, would you like to try a topic? DTM Jalal Zaki.
Yes, thank you. Love to do Italy, but since it is taken, I will take the German one. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so fasten your seatbelt. We're going to Germany. And the proverb goes, he who always thinks it's too soon is sure to come too late. He who always thinks it's too soon is sure to come too late. Over to you.
Thank you. That takes me back to live in Egypt. I had comments number 3 is no excuses. And in Egypt was land of I stand for Inshallah, which means God willing. B stands for Bukra, which means tomorrow. And M stands for Mali, which means never. We're never on time. I discovered in India there's something very like ST, and it's India stretchable time. So I always there at least an hour beforehand. I love the Mr. Dilip's speech about the 3 C's. I also love communication. And there are 3 C's for me. That's consistency, concentration, continuity, where the whole campaign becomes greater than the sum of its parts. Tell me quick and tell me true, or else, my friend, the hell with you. If you don't tell me in the first few seconds of a video or in the headline, 80% of anybody who reads anything reads the headline only. So if you don't tell them what's in WFM, what's it for me, percent of your target audience. Your voice serving your world. And I have 3 missions in my life. Bring the world because of what's happening. And women's empowerment, because, and that's why I asked Mr. Dilip, his wife had an influence on him. I'm writing a book called Story of My Wife because I owe her my life. She married me when I was kicked out of several universities, got me to do a PhD and 2 more universities and to teach in America and back to the university that I was kicked out of. I owe my life. And last but not leastly is the empowerment of youth, because youth are the future. And the future is not the way it used to be. If you look at what's happening, the world has changed. But you're taking us to 8 countries due to the pandemic. I'm so happy that I got to know people from all over the world. And thanks to Arfin Khan, Coach to a Fortune, a lot of them, most of them from India. Thank you. Back to you, ma'am.
Wonderful attempt, Toastmaster Jalal. And unfortunately, this is the end of our session today. I was hoping to make relentless effort to squeeze all 8 countries in the time that we have, but next time maybe. Back to you, our Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Table Topic Master. Well, you still have places to go for the next session. So at least that is one of the good points that you got out of this one. With this, I would now like to call upon our general evaluator, who will hopefully shut me down as a small kid and say, yes, you are there. So over to you, Mr. General Evaluator, with the question, are we there yet? Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, our TM Modi. I'm surviving as usual between different meetings. So we had the region meeting and I just told them bye. I jumped back here, but I was trying to focus on both the meetings. With gathering my senses and going through my notes once again. So as I was saying, we are going to have a different and a unique style of evaluating individual speakers and the whole meeting. The general evaluation session will be a different one for today. I don't know how many of you have done this before, but there are 3 methods which Toastmasters International recommends. The first is what you see is prepared speakers. Evaluators are known to them and they give their points. The second one is stopping the speaker, but that's more used in the mentoring style. Somebody is going for World Championship for public speaking. You can give that kind of evaluation. The third is what we are doing today, a panel discussion. And this will challenge the creative thinking, the listening skills of our evaluators who are the panelists. Let me invite the panelists and maybe we could spotlight all of them. The first is our timer, Naomi, our accountant, Fauzan, grammarian, PQD Khalid, our evaluators, TTMs Farhaz and Hisham. So these are the panelists for the second, I would say, or the panel discussion today. Now, I'm going to ask them questions in the best interest of the whole meeting and our members. My first question is to our timer, Naomi. I'll be asking her timing report a little later. But the question here is, normally speakers, either in prepared speech or speech which takes them to the international contest, humorous speech contest, they focus on content and delivery. Personally, I feel time is equally important, which should be considered. All that content and delivery comes down to a small bucket of time. Can everything fit in there? Could you give us your opinion on time factor in line with content and delivery? Toastmaster Naomi?
Thank you, DTM Ali. Good evening to you all once again. Great question, actually, I believe. I feel when we actually form the speech or anything, we have to actually manage our time. Basically, that's the whole thing, because we cannot run out of the time when we speak. We have to impress for a certain content and deliver within the time. That is the most important part. That actually one code which connected in the time management. So I believe time is most important factor when it consider in speech, delivering a speech. Back to you, DK Mari.
Thank you, our timer. You can always show yourself since the session is for 30 minutes. So don't worry about the green, yellow, red. That's fine. The R counter, Toastmaster Fauzan. My question to you is, we see lots of personalities speaking on TV. They are kings and queens of Oz, Ohms, Yani, Khalas. Oh, is that so? Again and again, I didn't know. So all these fillers, gap fillers, crutches, I'm sure these personalities might have heard about Toastmasters International program. Why do you think it's not being respected by all these famous personalities, that they should avoid all these reputations, crutches? Your thoughts, Accounter Fauzan.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you very much for that opportunity. It's a good question. The answer is, so the R counter is to make sure that the speaker will not use like or 2 times I used, I know, you know, it's like that. So this is to make sure, even if you see in the news and everything, so they're speaking in confidentially. So it's like for the R counter is to like notice all these things and then report it in the general evaluation session to make sure that this speaker will not use in the future.
Great. So do you believe that it must be these famous personalities must avoid using gap fillers, reputations, crutches, and all these kind of jargons? Do you really believe it makes a difference on that international forum?
Yes.
Great, great. We have some speakers, panelists thinking relentlessly on being better speakers and leaders. My question to our grammarian, PQD Khalid. Any suggestions? We being bilingual speakers or not native speakers at Bahrain Advance, Sri Lankan Club Symposium, because the international language is English, the World Championship Public Speaking accredited speaker, Toastmasters magazine, all is in English. Any suggestions on how can we improve our English speakings? Last time I spoke to somebody on this subject, that was yesterday, I believe, to an English teacher. And she was like telling me there are more than 200 programs, business English, English for medical professionals, English for doctor, English for nurse, English for bankers, English for insurance agents. There's a course designed for so many categories. Your experience, please, our grammarian.
Thank you so much, ID Ali Shahbaz, our general evaluator. Good evening once again. That's really a lovely question. Let me just specify what happens today in our meeting, and then I'll go answering your question. I think the meeting went flawlessly. I think everyone was relentlessly using proper English. I could only found one areas of improvement, which was, if I may as well share it quickly. You can find the water, and instead of you can found the water. After the word can, the verb should be simple. So this is the only area of improvement that I found today in our meeting. But going back to your question, in my experience, I witnessed that in a new club. I attended a new club, a corporate club to be very specific. And the president was so much worried. She said, we don't have someone who is perfect in English. So how would a grammarian teach us how we should perform? My answer was one step at a time. It's just practice, practice, practice. You would not be getting it from day one all correct. And it goes back to the word of the day. You have to be relentless in your learning. That's my answer to your question. And over to you, Heidi Ali.
Thank you very much. Well, I'm sure when the person is very thirsty, can find or can't found water will not make much difference. So this question, anybody can answer, either our grammarian or our accountant. What if somebody is very good in English? The grammar is perfect, but has a lot of ahs and ums. Would you call that a complete speaker? Anyone? Fawzan, Pikuri Khalid?
I'll leave Brother Fawzan first answer, and I have my own version of it. Brother Fawzan?
Yes. Can you repeat the question again? Sorry.
The question is, you might have heard, or what's your opinion if the person is speaking amazing English with all the grammar intact, but has a lot of ahs and ums? Do you call this a good speaker?
Yes, I can say he's a confident speaker.
Okay, that's a smart answer, confident speaker. What about you, our grammarian?
Well, thanks to Toastmasters for allowing us to notice these things, because previously we thought any person who speaks proper English or proper grammar, then that person is really a good speaker. After Toastmasters, I changed my thoughts for anyone who speaks. It's not just about English, it's about as well the style, on the way that you present yourself to people. And if you just keep on saying يعني, ahs, and all of that, then you would be preventing other people from enjoying those pauses in between your beautiful grammar. So it all goes mixed together. You have to be good in English, and you have to watch out for your gap fillers. That's my answer. Over to you, Aida.
That's awesome. Back in 2004, one of my mentors told me that when they ask you about Toastmasters, just tell them. Because my friends from master's program were kind of always bullying you and your Toastmasters, Ali. We are fed up. So you guys are great talkers. When I told this to my mentor told me, go back and tell them, we are not talkers. We just communicate. So sometimes even silence is a form of communication. Great. So my question to one of the evaluators, DTM Farhas, can you tell us what's your pick from the speakers who spoke today on the content part of their speeches, just the content part?
Thank you, DJ Ali and dear Toastmasters. Well, what I saw from the first speaker, DTM Dushan, lovely content, chose a very simple story, something that is familiar to probably a majority of the audience here, but he didn't take that familiarity for granted. After he narrated the story, towards the end, he clarified what the source of this story was. That it was from the 550 stories, the Pansiya Panaha Jataka, he gave the name of it, 550 stories, which were essentially stories from various births of the Lord Buddha. So he clarified that as well. So I thought that was beautiful. The story itself, it was very easy for me to follow. I could picture myself being one of those 500 followers of Mr. Charming. I could picture myself as part of that caravan hiding from the sun during the day, the relentless beating of the sun during the day, and then walking around, following my leader, looking at the stars in the night. So I really felt that I was part of it. And that's a beauty that storytellers should learn and master. And this I saw today, Toastmaster Dushan, DTM Dushan, showing and exhibiting that quality very well. So very well done on that. There are, of course, a few points to improve, perhaps, which we can maybe touch later. I'm sure you'll give us a chance to speak about those, but I'm just talking about content now. Getting to the content of DTM Thuraya's speech, I always knew this Zero was a sneaky character, and it was very difficult to look for the Zero, and people didn't really know who he was and what he was doing until some smart person realized this is what Zero is. And DTM Thuraya went through historically, proving us and showing to us how and where this entire concept of Zero originated, how the various civilizations used and had the concept of numbers, but did not understand or realize that there was a concept called zero. And then she, using whatever research that has been done, and there were very nice sources quoted in all of those little bits of history, pinpointed this was the origin of the zero, and this is how the zero traveled from its origin to the rest of the world. And I thought that was beautiful. One other key point that I really liked was the fact that DTM Thuraya chose to speak about civilizations from different parts of the world, which means, or which meant that she didn't want anybody in this audience to feel left out, which I thought was good, because when you're speaking to an international audience, it's always good to have content that's also international. And that I found very well thought of. And so that's my little take on what the content of it was. And of course, both of the contents beautifully led to wherever the speeches were leading to the messages and so on. So thank you, DTM Ali, over to you.
Thank you. That was wonderful listening to about content part of both the speakers today. I do see a question if DTM Dilip has written any book. So if you have done, DTM Dilip, maybe you can send the names in the chat in case. My next question is to DTM Hisham. DTM Hisham, could you talk about the delivery part of both the speakers today?
Thank you very much, DTM Ali. And to mention that famous quote, content is king, then delivery is queen. And especially in this small box that we are limited to, the ability to leverage on the physical and the vocal delivery is absolutely crucial. Looking at DTM Dushan's delivery of the speech, especially with regard to gestures, I want to speak about three things: the face, the eyes, and the hands. DTM Dushan always has this expressive face, and when he smiles and when he looks at you, there's that lovable connection that is created always, because he's such a familiar face and such a friendly face, and he leveraged that really well. His eye contact was reasonably good. But for an advanced speaker, what I would recommend is leverage on those eyes, make it smaller, make it a little bigger. And if you really feel a little funky, play around with your eyebrows a little bit also. So this camera allows you that freedom, because in a stage where there are 200 or 2000 people, you're not allowed to leverage on those facial expressions, but this opportunity is there. And in this tiny screen, the use of the hands was very well done by DTM Dushan, but adding a little bit more purpose to show the frustration, to show the helplessness, to show the questioning. A purposeful use of the hand gestures would have added a tremendous amount of value to this particular speech. In terms of the delivery and the voice, the tone, as always, was very warm and friendly, and this is something that Dushan always uses really well. The pace, although a little fast, he has this way of going fast, but yet the mind has enough time to catch up with him, and that is something very unique to Dushan when he speaks. One thing that I would have liked to see in terms of the delivery specifically is that there were many characters in the speech, but there was only one line of dialogue in the entire speech. What have you done to us? You have brought us to the desert. So if you increase the dialogue a little bit more, that adds to the opportunity to leverage on vocal tonality. The speaker had great confidence in the story, and that was amplified in his delivery. His voice was very clear, and that did not come across as a limitation. And he sincerely wanted to give that beautiful story to the audience, which enhanced the convincing nature of his delivery. Going to Dr. Thureya, and a research presentation is not easy to do. And the minute someone says research, bang, a bulb goes in our head thinking, this is going to be a boring presentation. Now, how do you overcome that? You've got to grab the audience's attention before you even come onto the stage. And that happened with Dr. Thureya with her title, A Symbol for Nothing. How can symbol for nothing? That hook was very, very nicely leveraged by Dr. Thureya. And what I like is that she used a journey of 6 geographical locations, which was so apt for a meeting of these two clubs with such great geographical dispersion. I like that she used a teaching tone, but she never lost the conversational element of the delivery. And that is the true hallmark of a great speaker plus teacher. She was giving us knowledge that we never knew, but she always gave us enough time and space to grab that knowledge. So although the speech was about 0, the value of the speech had many zeros added to it. And what I really, really like is her engaging style. It's very clear that when she leans forward into the screen, that she really wants the audience to get the value and grab the weight of the history. And that was very evident. But to recommend, I would like to just say 3 things. Present, pause, smile, especially in a technical presentation. Present your content, pause for it to sink in, smile when the light bulb goes off in the head of the audience. That's my 2 cents with regard to the delivery of the 2 speakers. Back to you, DT.
Wow. So now we are going to go to the last round, which is a rapid fire round. And with creative thinking, I'm going to challenge the panelists to answer in 30 seconds to 40 seconds on these questions. Try your best. We are doing good on time, but we don't want to delay the meeting. And if you stay back, I'm going to give you the 3 names, the 3 books authored by our PIP Dilip. So that's a gift which you will get later. Timer, Naomi, could you tell us quickly that how are we doing on the time and if everybody's qualified? Maybe you could just make it short and say everybody's qualified.
Actually, I have one question. What about Didier Thureya's speech, because it went around 9 minutes and 55 seconds?
Okay. Evaluator, the individual evaluator, could you confirm that for the second speaker? What was the time given to the timer?
5 to 7 minutes.
5 to 7 minutes. Okay. Yeah. Fine. I would recommend the speakers to send a chat message to the timer to understand more about the time taken. And you could send the timing report to our Toastmaster of the day or the surgery at arms to prepare the poll for later. Thank you, Timer Naomi. Our counter, Fauzan, your report.
Good evening, everyone. Here's the counter report. So I have noticed us like 8 times. I used 2 times and you used 2 times continuously. And also I means 2 times. And I have used 15 times. And that's all from my side, my report. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Accounter Fauzan. Grammarian PQD Khalid, your recommendation, final words on how we can improve our language.
I'll be relentlessly fast. These are the word of the day for each one of our presenters. And wow, good use of words. To live is to move. Going places, expanding horizon, die or fight and survive. Going places equals start immediately plus don't stop moving, multiplied by support from mentors. Let me take you back in time in a journey. Blood rushed to your brain. Sometimes the sun and moon are not in your favor. Toastmasters fountain, serendipity, dipping my toes in the pool of Toastmasters, the courage of stretch, take me under his wing, seeds of your own growth, which is evaluation, SPF factor, the confidence to achieve, relentless in my pursuit of knowledge, the journey of discovering I came to Toastmasters to take something, but I stay in Toastmasters to give something, caring to build. Leadership is its highest calling. Find your voice, serve your world. Great things happen in the basement. Sharpened your heart, or my heart. In competition, you will polish your skills better. TI values meshed with my own. I don't know what your destiny will be, but this I do know. The happiest people are those who sought and found the way to serve. That's too much. Shine the light of Toastmasters, evolution of life, story of my wife, content is king, delivery is queen, and over to you, DTM Ali.
Thank you. Grammarian, you were talking about 5 pages. Was that the one? Oh, okay. Okay, great. Amazing job. Thanks a lot, PQD Khalid. My next question is to DTM Farhas. Could you shed some light on opening strategy used by both of our speakers today?
Thank you, DTM Ali. So the openings of both the speakers, I felt were apt for the type of speech they were doing. For instance, Toastmaster Dushan was doing a storytelling project, so therefore he had to open with parts of that story, and that's exactly what he did. It was a beautiful morning. It's a bit like saying once upon a time, which is nice. I mean, in Toastmaster speeches, we don't say once upon a time, but we talk about time, morning. It was back in 2022, whatever it may be, we start, and he did exactly that. And then he introduced the main character, Mr. Charming, leader of 500 tribes, a very wise man. So for me as audience, I could immediately start picturizing this, and that opening was good enough for me to be part of that 500 members of his tribe. And that's important because as an audience, I need to connect, and I connected. So I thought that opening was quite good. When it came to the opening of DTM Thuraiya, whenever somebody throws in a quiz, they got me trapped for the next 10-15 minutes. And DTM Thuraiya's little quiz, what do you see? 11. What do you see now? I saw it was still 11, but then I needed to call that 11 something. So I said it's a very fat 11. Then only I realized that she was actually increasing space in it, but that was good enough to me to try to understand where she was leading. And then DTM Thuraiya said, let me take you back in time. With that little statement, I realized there was a meaning to the one moving apart. And then it clicked to me, hey, the title of the speech also has something to do with nothing. So that's probably where we are going. So both the openings serve their purposes as far as I was concerned. And I really kind of clicked and got into this speech. There are some other points I would like to talk about. Perhaps you might give me an opportunity later.
Yeah. So DTM Farhas, points for improvement for your speaker.
Okay. DTM Dushan's point for improvement. Well, let me say, I know DTM Dushan quite well. So he's a very humorous speaker, and humor is one of his strengths. Sadly, he used humor only once in this entire story, and that was about no Google Maps and no signboards. I actually laughed. I laughed, and my wife was asking, "Are you okay? It's night. Is something wrong with you?" I said, "No, it's fine. It's Dushan making a joke." But I wanted more from Dushan. So a bit more humor would have really eased, especially when the entire caravan turned around and ended up in the wrong place. That could have been made a bit of a humor, and then the seriousness of the entire tribe revolting against him could have been, and that shift in emotion would have really helped. From a funny situation, we have a set of people screaming at him, "You are public enemy," he said. That emotion shift could have really been useful in that. And also, in a story, to make a story memorable, I would love to enjoy the scenery, enjoy the situation, enjoy the imagery. The tribe moved through mountains, rivers, villages. But instead of just normal mundane mountains, rivers, and villages, I would have loved to have seen the tribe move through tall mountains, snow-covered caps, and going through the narrow valleys and coming down to beautiful little villages and alongside which rivers are flowing. That would have really added some color to the story. Because remember, storytelling is an art in as much as it is also telling us things about what is taking place. So that art has to be fulfilled. And in creating imagery, I would have really been part of it. Of course, there was a bit of imagery when it came to looking at the stars to look for the way. I thought that was good, but a lot more could have been done over there. Emotions, when they were overjoyed, there was party next day, there was a lot of food, emotions could have come out over there. And then voice is another tool that could have been used when Mr. Charming went to sleep. And then the tribe was lost. The public, he became public enemy. So voice could have been used. So those are some of the things. Of course, things like facial gestures and what have you, my good friend DTM Hisham has already covered. So those are a few of the tips and tricks I would have probably added in to probably take this a bit more. As a final note, the final call to action was a little bit too quick for me. All stories should have a moral. This story had about 5 and they came in very quick succession. I managed to write down only 2. I would have loved to have been able to write down and savor and learn from all 5 that were said. So a bit more time on that would have really made a big difference. Back to you, DTM Ali.
Thank you very much, DTM Faraz. Now we move to the closing segment of all the 2 speakers and improvement for DTM Hisham's speaker. So DTM Hisham, we are looking forward to hear about the closing for all speakers and points to improve for your speaker.
Thank you very much, DTM Ali. A few days ago, the world champion of public speaking was crowned. And if you ask me right now, what was the last sentence of her speech, I can tell you it was, "It will make a great read." That is the power of a great conclusion. And if you ask me what is the last line of the 2014 world champion speech, it was, "When I look at you, I see something in you, but I don't know what it is." That conclusion has to be powerful, well thought out. And the single most important tip that I can give is that write your conclusion first, because that's your message, that's your takeaway action. If you know your message, the entire speech falls through. Coming to the 2 speakers that displayed immense talents and brought that sincerity to the stage today, DTM Dushan's conclusion was regarding the historical anecdote of the speech of the Lord Buddha explaining this story to a bhikkhu. But I felt that that could have been at the beginning of the speech to give credibility to the story, and the conclusion could have been, if you were that bhikkhu, the 3 lessons for you is leadership. A leader must know the land, a leader must never sleep, and a leader must always be wise. Because then I answer the question, what am I going to do with this? These 3 things I now have to grow. So that's my humble recommendation to DTM Dushan. And Dr. Thuraya's conclusion, the ringing bell in my head is, I don't have enough time. You must go and look at this on YouTube. So that is the ringing thing that was in my head. And if you took 9 minutes and 55 seconds, that is really, really crucial to leave us with the value that we can apply. And my recommendation would be, and I use this a lot as a teacher, with regard to a technical number, I always say some 3-line story about how it has affected me. So if Dr. Thuraya would say something where the 0, some funny anecdote in her classroom that happened with regard to the number 0 and say, I'm telling you all this, but with regard to 0, this is what happened to me. That is the cherry on top of that wonderful cake that was served on this beautiful platter. And that will cement the idea in the minds of the audience. Going on to the performance of my speaker, DTM Thureya, and I have 4 recommendations. The first one is manage time, because time is really, really crucial. The time was 5 to 7 minutes. The time taken was 9 minutes and 55, which is a little too much. And of course, the one that I spoke about, point, pause, smile, that drives the value of your point through. And then conclude on a powerful note. You can use one of 3 things. Use it as a teaching point, use it as an action point, something to do, or use it as a thinking point so that it snaps the audience's mind into thinking something. And I would end with a snippet of how the 0 impacted you on your life. So that creates the bond between you and your research audience, even through this electronic media that we are constricted to now. So convert that weakness into a strength. Thank you. Back to you, DTM.
Thank you, DTM Hisham. I know we took a few minutes extra for this wonderful panel discussion. Maybe we could go for voting now and we could have all the names. There is a wildcard entry just for 30 seconds. DTM Hosni Amin, your thoughts on the overall meeting?
Thank you, dear General Evaluator. It's an honor and privilege to be in this meeting where 2 international presidents are there, past president, the present president. Meeting went on very well, except one thing I noted at the beginning, we didn't know the agenda of the meeting. I would have loved to see the agenda coming out, one from one of the presidents, and adopting it, and being 2 advanced clubs, adopting the agenda and going through with the agenda is one of the key things. I mean, that is the only recommendation I have from my side. Over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, DTM Hosni. Let's go for the voting part, and we can keep all the names of the panelists in this, and let's see what results we get today. The names are Naomi, Fauzan, Khalid Abdullah, Farhaz, Hisham, and Hosni Amin. Thank you very much. Over to you, Toastmaster of the day.
I missed Brother Hosni. Should I repeat, please?
Yeah, maybe you could add Brother Hosni's name and
that make it as a bonus and ignore me.
Or we'll ignore the vote and give the vote to the DTM Hosni.
No.
Toastmaster Farooq.
Yes, General Letter, sir. I'm just waiting for the results to come. So, Mr. President, I'll hand over to you for the feedback and session. And when the results are ready, I'll inform you. Is that okay, sir?
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Toastmaster. May I also invite the president of Sri Lanka Club Symposium to be spotlighted as well, and maybe I can do that myself as well. So let me do that too. Add the spotlight. There you go. And so yes, while you're working out the thing, just bear with me a minute. Okay, that's done. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being part of this great meeting. We have learned, we have seen and heard from the man himself. I had, while we were talking about our keynote speaker today, there was one thing I was emphasizing on to everybody who I spoke to. I said, in Toastmasters, generally, we see people who excel in the communication track. Some of them end up as world champions. Some of them end up as accredited speakers. And then you find some people who excel in the leadership track, and they get into the various levels of the organization's leadership, getting into the board, and then becoming vice presidents, and eventually ending up as presidents. But very rarely would we find in one person all of these achievements clubbed into. And this is the type of person who we had amongst us today. And though that keynote speech was just about 20 minutes, I personally got the learning of a lifetime. I'm sure I am not wrong in saying I'm speaking on behalf of everybody else who's present here. Thank you so much, DTM Dilip, for sharing with us your life story, telling us what it took to go through that and work your way to achieve all of these. After which you decided, no, this is not enough. I'm going to make other people also do the same thing. And that is the icing on the cake. So thank you so much, DTM Dilip. I ask everybody here, please join me in giving DTM Dilip a big round of applause. Thank you so much. And now may I ask my friend, colleague, Toastmaster Munir, if you would like to say a few words.
Yes, thank you, DTM Faraz. From the keynote speaker, DTM Dilip, what we understand, we all have to leave a legacy. This is what, in whatever area you are in, maybe you are a social worker, or you are a professional, or you are a Toastmaster. There should be something that we should leave. This is what I got from him. And he was started with the communication. He loved to speak. Then he went up to the championship. Then he changed into the leadership to give away what he learned. So this is very important, and it is an eye-opening session for me, as well as I feel everybody will vouch for it. Yes, it is true. The legacy has to be. Thank you. And we are really honored, and it is our pleasure meeting you, sir. And lovely speaking. And this is an eye-opening session for all of us. And definitely we will also go through your path, follow your path. Only my question is, we are a breadwinner for our family. Toastmaster is not our full-time. It is a part-time. We are in foreign soil. I'm a Sri Lankan. We are here for a purpose and to get back to our country. Now, the time is limited. We have many things that we need to do in our life to fulfill the family life. Finding time into invest on Toastmaster is pretty difficult. I was employed and I moved out from that to entrepreneurship. So finding difficult, end of the month, you don't get the packet. We need to sweat, to get, to spend. So the time is not limited. It is very much open for us on that earning business. In this scenario, it is very tough to come like you to that level, but I love to be, because I also, in schools, I was top in speeches. I have won many speech awards, but now it is a question mark for me. What am I to do? I have to look after the family. I have to earn, right? So how am I going to go forward? I love to be. I see people engage in 6, 8 clubs, holding positions. I see stars, listening to them, and they are dedicating time. How it is possible? That's mean they are wealth enough to look after the family, and then they spend time on the Toastmasters. I may ask that because your question and answer is gone, but this you may shed a light to me. How would, please, DTM Dilip, will you give it in a short form?
Yes, DTM Mohammed.
Toastmaster Mohammed. I'm hoping for DTM. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Soon to be DTM.
Yes, inshallah.
Your question is a very searching one and applies to many people who have these challenges of usage of time and income and looking after the family. It's really there are several things that apply. One is, do you have the support of your spouse and family? I could not have done what I did without the 100% support of my wife and my children. In fact, before I ran for third vice president, I asked them what they thought. Second is, if you are employed, you need the support of your employer to do all these things that I've done. And I was fortunate that my employer not only supported me, he on his own flew all the way to Toronto to congratulate me and be at my presidential inauguration. That's the kind of support I had. I talked about my wife insisting on traveling with me and supporting me and encouraging me every way. She also happened to have a very well-paying job. And that helped me when my own income dipped. To give you an example, when I became district governor of District 18, I lost my job.
Wow.
And the question was, how are we going to manage? Now, at that time, I had been working towards establishing my professional speaking career, but it could not make up for the loss of income. And I was only able to tide that because of my wife's financial backing, because we did it as a team. I was never alone, and she understood what was important to me. Do not jeopardize your family in pursuit of Toastmaster goals, but make Toastmaster goals part of the process that you and your spouse have chosen to pursue. Because it took me only a couple of years to catch up the income that I had lost. And I was doing it as a professional speaker, trainer, and a coach. I was coaching business leaders, coaching professionals, and earning money that eventually caught and surpassed what I had earned before. You see, so I made Toastmasters part of that process. Don't keep it as a separate thing, and win the support of your spouse and family. If you are employed, win the support of your employer. So that's my story, how it happened. And again, what I stressed, and I hope you've caught it, is don't try to make this a solo journey. It is not a solo journey. Get the support and help of people around you who believe in you and who also catch the vision that you have. Don't make it, I always tell people, we are not called to be a lone ranger. We are called to be power rangers. We get power from the people around you and the people you respect and people you ask for help. And together we can do it. There's an old African proverb which says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. That has been my story. I hope that helps.
Thank you. Thank you, DTM Dilip, for that advice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. That was really brilliant advice. And thanks for the question, Toastmaster Munir. I think now the certificates are ready for the best role players of today's meeting. May I ask our TMOD to get ready with the displaying of certificates? Are you ready, sir? The best table topic speaker today is, drum rolls, Toastmaster Jalal Zaki. Well done, all the way from Italy, I heard, right? Is that right, Toastmaster Jalal? Italy was speaking about Germany and then he just nailed it. Well done, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you. Next is the best evaluator. Goes to Hisham Jifri. He had to leave. He put a small note, but thank you, Hisham. Very well done. Great evaluations as usual. And next, the best speaker goes to DTM Dushan Kanchana. Well done. The story of Mr. Charming. Charming story by a charming speaker of Mr. Charming. Well done. Thank you so much. And those are the things. No special award for the Toastmaster of the Day. Now, that's not fair. He did a lot of work behind the scenes. Toastmaster of the Day, I'll send you a certificate. Thanks a lot.
Actually, the G did not like my statement. Are we there yet?
Oh, yeah, okay. That's it. But then in any case, normally after meetings, we have this circulation of more recognitions, which we do to all the other role players. So we include in that. Well, with that, ladies and gentlemen, I guess we have come to the end of a great meeting, a very memorable meeting. We are just a little bit behind schedule, but I think it was time well spent. We had a great keynote speech and we had a super general evaluation session done in a different way. So I'm sure it was a great learning for all of us. I will take this opportunity to call meeting 220 of Bahrain Advanced Toastmasters close. And I now hand over to Toastmaster Muhammad Munir to close the meeting of Sri Lanka Club Symposium.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, DTM Faraz. I would like to adjourn the Sri Lanka Club Symposium Toastmaster meeting number 609 now.